So welcome everyone. This is an initiative actually Kit Priest put the grant in because she wanted Tai Chi to be in this hall. So it's thanks to her. So if you happen to run into her at Toast and Tea tomorrow, Kit, if you happen to run into her tomorrow, then please say thank you because it's because of the grant that we're able to be here for free. And then also we're able to assist everybody who's coming in online or who can have the recording afterwards, which is a big deal. So, okay, so to get started, so some of you have never done Tai Chi before. So Tai Chi, most people think about it as they've got to learn 108 moves and they have to be able to do them well. And Tai Chi is about discovering what your body is doing and when it moves freely. That's your only job. If you don't remember the moves, it does not matter, because that's why we collect in a group. The group is what helps us remember everything. And this is an introduction, so it's going to be very, very basic. So we don't have to worry too much about trying to remember very much. So, but most people will start as we go into going from introductory into movement patterns, then it's like, I can't do it. And the I can't do it part is the most important discovery, because if you can't do it, then that's why you need to be here. That's where your body has patterns that are not working, and we want to find them, and we want to support them, and we want to help make them better, because that's just going to make your posture stronger and your strength better. Okay. All right. So with that, if you want to take your shoes off, and then you can have your feet connecting to the floor, I want to do a couple of things so you know where you're at the moment. So for a few that are online, they were at the conference this weekend and they got to try some of the awareness exercises, but I'm going to do a couple other exercises just so they have something a little bit different. So if you want to stand up on your feet, I want you to notice a few things about your posture. All right, so the first thing you're going to notice is, where is the weight on your feet? So are your toes gripping in the front? Have you got weight more back into your heel? Are your knees locked? Are your feet in the middle of the foot? We call it the bubbling springs in Tai Chi. So if you've got the ball of the foot, so I'm just rubbing across the knuckles on the inside of my hand. And if you go below that, closer towards the center of the palm, then on the foot, it would be the center of the arch. It's not quite the center, it's just above that. That's the bubbling spring, and that's where you have fluidity in the joints. So if you're there right now, then you'd be able to jump. But if you're there right now somewhere else, then it would be like, uh-oh, what's going to happen? Okay? So with that, hello, Madonna, come on in. All right, so with that, just notice where your weight happens to be. Is anybody in the center? Okay. Anybody more back towards the heel? Heel person? Anybody else a heel person? Nobody's going to admit it now. Come on in. Awesome. All right. So now what I want you to do then is, as we're going through, you're going to start to notice when you move towards that centerpiece, and you'll naturally get there. Okay? So then the next part we want to know is, on your feet, do you feel the weight equally distributed across your foot? Or do you notice more parts of your foot than other parts? You might notice that the ball of the foot on the right is heavier than the ball of the foot on the left. You might notice you can feel third and fourth toe, and you can't feel your big toe on the floor. You know it's there, but you can't actually really feel it. You might notice that the outside edge is getting more weight, or maybe the heel. Some people are nodding. Okay, so that's good to know, because how your body is dealing with stress is indicated in the way you're standing on your foot. And where you're putting that extra pressure is the different kinds of systems that are not functioning quite the way you want them to. And as we do Tai Chi, it's going to even out, so when you stand on your foot, it just becomes flat. When you can feel that, then you know you've brought everything into balance. And the whole point of Tai Chi is to have balance and flow of the energy through the systems. Okay, so now we have that little bit of awareness. What I did at the conference was asked everybody to lift their ears up. So if you lift your ears up, notice how the posture may have to change in order for you to find straight. Now, we could have done this from a chair. I asked you to stand so you can have a different awareness about what your standing posture is. Okay, did everybody have to adjust? Okay, so we are now straight. Whatever you had before is the posture showing stress. Okay, so if you're at home and you're in the middle of the day and you go pull and you're like, oh my, and that means you were doing activities that started to deplete your energy and you didn't restore anything. And so the body was continuing to add that stress on. And then it compensates however it can compensate. And that's a good time to throw in a Tai Chi move, because then that's when you'll be able to pick the energy back up again. Okay, so from there, you want to just notice if your shoulders are flat across. And you may have to look across the room to see. Because on ourselves, it's like, sure, they're flat across. But then look across at other people and see, is everybody's shoulders even? Because most people have a slight lean on one side. Usually the side that the purse gets carried, or the side that you usually carry a bag. And then it'll be this. And your posture, your body thinks that's normal. So just being able to come to even. Okay, and then for everybody at home, I know it's easy because you've got your own floor to walk on. Here we're going to walk around each other. Let's make a circle. I just want you to take a walk and notice what it feels like to walk. If your arms move, if your legs swing through, what happens to your head in case you look down at the floor. Just what kinds of things do you do when you normally go to walk? Okay, you're welcome to go outside this circle and go around the other areas too. So you're just taking a walk and just noticing. Okay. Also notice if your weight shifts from one side to the other side. And so you put full weight and then full weight. I don't know about online how many arms are moving, but there's not a lot of arms moving here. Okay. All right. So we'll come back to checking on this again and see, but here's a few things that would be normal. So if you pulled up on those ears and found straight, and the shoulders then were lined up over top of the hips, your arms would automatically freely swing. So if your arms weren't doing this, then we don't have everything quite where we want it, okay? When you stepped onto your foot, you would have gone heel straight through to the second or third toe, and it would have been straight through the foot. But you also would have felt the power in your foot. So you might have walked on top of your foot, which is what most people will do if they're not quite engaged. And then the other part is a lot of people will look down to see where they're going, not trusting that they're going to know where they're going. When you're up, you can still see the same things, but you're looking out and you're seeing so much more. So if you went this way, you just shut your proprioceptive system off, and now you don't have balance and centering because you've shifted it forward, which means you're going to be walking forward, which is where you're going to trip and fall because you're already in that trajectory. Okay, so now that we got all that, come back to here, see if you can find straight, see if it's still there, or you have to make a slight adjustment. Okay. Awesome. All right. Everybody online, are you okay? Everybody's good? Awesome. Okay. So from that place, if you take your feet shoulder width apart, and you're going to soften your ankles, soften your knees. You're going to put a hinge in your hip that's going to go back. So if you put a hinge in your hip, but you go forward, and it's more knees than hip, then you've got a locked hip. So what we want to do is soften it so it's going back towards the chair, as if you're going to sit down. Okay? So you may find you're doing this. So then invite yourself to just really release, to go to sit down and figure out where that going back part is. You're going to go, keep going back. Yep, now going back. Now bend your knees. Okay, you see how you want to go this way? Instead, go backwards. Stick your butt out the back end, right? Without going forward on your knees. Go back the up, right? So you're bending your knee, but you're going to go backwards. Right? You see how you want to still figure it out forward? So it's locked forward. So you want to figure out how you're going to go back. So when we finish today, you can check in with that and see if it's shifted. Okay? So what happens is people go this way, and we want to go that way. And you'll notice my knees didn't change position. They didn't push forward. They went into position, bent, but stayed in position. And in that case, they're behind my toes, which is what we want. Yeah, okay. So we have that. So that's softer. So now you might notice your lower back. So if you put your hands on your lower back, just notice if it, when you sink down to sit back into the chair, if your lower back opens or it just stays locked. So it's not doing much movement. Okay. So if I'll do it this way, then I'll turn around. So it goes like that. You see how it's opening? Okay, I could go like that. Didn't move. This way, it moved. Okay, so you can see back here, so I could go backwards, and that's locked, or I could go that way. And it looks like I'm going deeper with my knee, but it's actually my back open, so I could actually go down. So that's what we're aiming for, is the lower back to be open. So we could do it standing, but it takes a long time. And I don't like long time. I like let's get at this and make a difference. So we're going to do it seated instead. And from seated, you're already in a position where you're already bent. So then we can start to play a little bit and open things up. Okay, so there's our awareness. It's a little bit different than what some people got at the conference. So I use lots of different ways. Okay, so here, when you're sitting on the chair, these chairs have these lovely arm rests. And if they drive you crazy, there's the really lovely wooden. That's why everybody's coming for toast and tea tomorrow to fundraise for those darn chairs. So we have new chairs. Okay, you want to be sitting on the chair so that the sit bone and the tailbone have a chance to move, and that you can be supported by your own strength of your back. So you can have straight. That would be normal. When you lay back into the chair, that's going into the ergonomics of the chair. And most of the time, that means you're going to roll onto your tailbone and shut up the cerebral spinal pump. And it's not going to get the fluid up to the brain. So you want to be nice and tall as often and as much as you can. Okay, so from there, we've got the ankles underneath the knees. And, and it was like, oh, and just take a nice deep breath. So if we notice what the breath is doing, take a breath in. Notice what that feels like. And with hope, lots of times breath is up here, but I think we've already dropped it even just by talking. I serve tea at the beginning because when you smell the tea, it calms the system, and then I don't have to say anything. So that's right off the top. So that's why not coffee, because it's roasted, has a different flavor, so it doesn't produce the same kind of result. It does produce going into the brain, but not that kind of piece. So we're looking for that. And maybe there's a certain blend or even just water that you notice when you sip the water, your body just relaxes. And that's what you also want to be aware of. Okay, so from there, what I want to do is show you about opening the lungs up. So if you notice where the breath is and how deep it is, then what we're going to do is turn the palms up, and we're just going to fall forward into the feet, and then turn the palms over and come back. So this is a seated Donu, and Master Moy, the system under which I've trained, Master Moy would have everyone do Donus as their answer to everything. No matter what ailment they had, it was a Donu that was the correction. And I'll just show you mine in a second. Okay, so a couple more. And one more. And just come back to straight. Find your posture. And then take a notice of your breath. A little bit different? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So all we did was basically this. But we pulled on the diaphragm, and if it was locked, so it wasn't actually activated while you were breathing, so it was more from the chest, then we actually got the diaphragm moving. Nice and gentle. And the second part is all the muscles around the lungs, so through the ribs, anterior serratus, all of those, we pulled them gently. And that gentleness just softened everything to expand. Nice and simple. Okay, so do a couple more. And pushing into the feet, I want you to notice what happens to your lower back. So push into the feet and back. Okay, and if you can put your hands behind you, you can put them in the back of the hand or the palm, whichever. Just go forward again and notice what happens to your back. So you go forward, push into your feet. And one more. And push into your feet. Okay. Did you notice how, well, first of all, your back, you can feel it lengthening. But the second part, you could feel how the tailbone did this tiny little roll. And then you came up. That little roll is how your body moves with everything for supporting the back. So very often when we go to lift up a box, we're going to lift it with our back muscles by clenching them. But what we just did was we used our feet, and the feet took the tailbone, lined it up with the floor, and allowed all the vertebra and all the muscles related to be part of that whole movement pattern. So that's going to give you more strength, just with that little piece. But now if you go back to your lungs again, take another breath in. You notice that the capacity has changed. Okay. Some head mounts. Fabulous. And that's what we want, because you need the oxygen for everything else too. Good. Okay. Online, I'm just going to double check. Is everybody okay there? Yeah? Okay. All right. Again, if you have a question, please just dive in. All right. So, people ask me, if I'm going to start Tai Chi, and I say, go to the videos on my YouTube channel, pick anything. They want to know, which one do I start with? Doesn't matter which one. Today I started with posture, but then I started with the breath, and I started with the seated dharma. So if you go home and that's where you start, and all week long, if all you did was seated dharma, like I said, Master Moy would give that to every person who worked with, no matter what ailment they had and how sick they were. Everybody got a dharma. Usually standing, unless you were really sick, then be seated. But for me, seated teaches you so much. And the piece about pushing into the feet is you start to learn about how the feet connect to the floor, but how you can get more power out of that. So in the garden, how can you, because you were talking about digging, how do you push into the feet and the feet lift the shovel? How is it the feet can support you while you're taking the wheelbarrow or the lawnmower? And how can you start to really use the ground rather than trying to use muscle that might not have the strength you're looking for? Okay, so from there, that's seated dharma. So now we want to check in with the shoulders. So I'm just going to have you do just the hands. Your palms are going to go up. I want you to just notice how the shoulder blade will kind of do this, and the neck will go up because you put your palms up. Okay? And if we just extend that out, we're not going to go into the feet. Then if you turn the palms over, notice how everything softens in the shoulders. And then let that come down. So we are turning all these lovely bits of tissue, so muscles, but tendon, ligaments, fascia. We're gently massaging them. If they've been locked up for a long time, we're just suggesting they can let go. Let them go. So I know I have a couple on here who are counselors who do a lot of work online. This is fantastic to do under the camera. Nobody knows what you're up to, and you can change so much, particularly just even that breathing, just with this little action. This is also great to do with a friend if you decide to have tea together. You say, let's do just 5 minutes of Tai Chi and then we'll dive into our conversation. And it's nice and gentle. Okay, and you probably can start to feel a rhythm. With it. Awesome. And it's always soft and gentle. The elbows are never locked. And it's just suggestion of movement. Sweet. Okay. So now what I want you to do is put one palm down and one palm up. And then notice what happens to the shoulder. So I have my left palm up, so I can feel the shoulder blade turning. And then I have the right palm down. So that one's a little bit more relaxed. Then if you turn the palms, it's very subtle, but you can notice how they change. Now I suggested notice in your shoulders, but now I'm going to suggest notice in your hips because they're reciprocal. So when the palm is up on my left hand, I'm going to lock into my left hip and then notice how it changes as I turn my hand over. So very subtle. If you think about your pattern for walking this morning, this might be enough to change your walking pattern. Right? We don't use this exactly as an exercise, but I just want you to use this for awareness. Okay. In the Danyu, you've got both turning out and then both releasing. So we're doing both sides at the same time. But let's go to spine turn. So you're going to put your one hand up by your ear, okay? And if you're on the camera, then if you want to just mirror me, that will be fine. So I've got my right hand up, so be your left hand. And the other hand is like you're going to do this in the water, but it's going to come from your belly. So you're just going to turn your belly, and then you're going to change your hands. And then turn the belly, and then change your hands. Turn the belly, and change your hands. So just stop there for a moment. You'll see that my shoulder is open, my arms at a 90-degree angle, okay? And when I turn the belly, my shoulder doesn't close. So if yours went like this and closed, you want to leave it open and only the belly is doing the movement. And then change. So the belly turns. Okay, and now the hand that is up, it's going to pull across. So you're going across, change hands, and then across. Okay. The hand at the bottom looks like I'm pushing away. It's just turning with me, so it looks like I'm turning away, but then when I get to the end, I can just change it. Okay. Check in with your feet. Just in case some heels started to rise, that's just tension. So you can notice it and then just remind your feet they can go flat again. And if you happen to be pushing into your feet, you can relax them. And that's the feet thinking that they're part of this whole action and that they need to be tense if they don't. Okay. And if we wanted to go simpler with that, you can imagine holding onto a balloon. Imagine the knot at the bottom of the balloon. And all you're going to do is turn your hands so you're over top of one knee. And then going to the other side, over top of the knee. That's as far as you need to turn, but it's your belly that's going to do the turning. So your belly button turns it over to the side, and then take it back. And then over. And inside, if you imagine your spine being a pole, you're turning like around the pole. Just in case you wanted to go sideways a little bit, and then it actually isn't a turn as much as a fall over. You want to just make sure you're straight. You can feel that spine turning. So when we turn the spine this way, we engage the entire center of the body, as well as across the legs and across the shoulders. And this is going to open up each vertebra in the back. And that goes to every organ system in the body. So we're rebooting the whole body with this little tiny movement. Awesome. So your head's up, you're looking out, smiling at the person across the way, and your ears are over top of your shoulders are over top of your hips, just in case you move forward. Okay. And then the last, we can take it back even further, put your hands on your belly. Now move your belly over to the side. And then move your belly to the other side. And if you're feeling your belly and it's like it's not moving, that's very usual. So if that's the case, inside you're just going to try to make a wave on the ocean. And just imagine the wave goes over one way and the wave comes back. And that is how you're going to start to use the broom, the vacuum cleaner, shovel, the rake. Is going to be through that spine rotation. Great. Awesome. Awesome. So when we're doing different patterns in Tai Chi, we use that turn, but we want to use it from the belly. Rather than the arm makes it look like a, because when you're watching Tai Chi, it looks like all these big, graceful movements happen, but they're all actually from the inside, and it makes it look really big. Okay, everybody's okay? Yeah? Okay, all right. So pull on those ears. Check in and see if you're still straight. If you have to adjust to find you're straight, then you know you've sunk back to whatever pattern your body's used to. That's okay too. Okay, so we have then seated Danyu, hands only, spine turn, what we've done so far. So let's stand and let's do our hands turn this way. So everything I've done could be standing or seated, but seated also gives you that extra advantage of movement in the hip. So we're just going to take the hands forward. This one you're going to have the fingertips are facing up, fingers are spread, they've got a little bit of space, and then they turn to go to the floor. And it's like you're creating a circle. You know, it's like you never forgot it. Always there. Seems silly, hey? Love it. Awesome. All right. Now this is going to look like I'm doing a great big stretch. I'm just going to turn so in the camera it looks like I'm doing this. But what I'm really doing is just a very gentle circle. The elbow never goes fully straight. It's just short of it. And the shoulders don't have to do any movement. So there isn't a pull forward. Feel that shoulder blade in the back. It's everything is about how the hand goes through the front. And I'm trying to build that circle. And then if you just imagine you have, I don't know, a horse's tail or something. You know, you could just comb through the hair, just soften everything or untangle. Just imagine doing that with your fingers. Right. Okay. So So now if you check in with your feet at the same time, notice if the pressure in your feet has changed. So now it's starting to go a little bit more across the whole foot. And maybe a few more toes feel like they're actually connected to the floor. And if your knees are soft, your weight would be into the center in the bubbling spring. If you notice your knees are locked back, your weight will be back towards the heel. So just soften those knees. Just remind them where to go, and then let the hip soften as well. Nice. I did a video this morning making tea. I did it on time lapse. And in the video, you'll see me doing this, but it's on time lapse. So it's like this. Dog babble. So anyway, you put the kettle on and you have a couple of minutes and you're like, I could go, tidy up. But then you go, no, I'm just going to stand here and I'm just going to take a moment and just let my body find balance. This is great to throw into those little bits. Just do a few and then carry on with your day. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so now let's do, if we do these ones, we're all going to be into each other. So if everybody turns, I'm going to come forward so you can see. So we're going to go cross with the hands. Then you're going to turn the palms. Hands go out first, the elbows go second. You can high five with your neighbors. You're going to turn the hands at the end. They go back behind you where it's comfortable. Turn the hands and come back forward. And then turning the hands so the elbows stay down. So this one is great for lung and heart. So the idea with Tai Chi is different from going to do a fitness class where you want to get that heart pumping and you want to pump the blood through the veins. In Tai Chi, you want to spiral it, because that's actually how it goes with efficiency. So what we're doing is actually taking away the work from the heart because we're helping circulation. And then for the lungs, lung to thumb is the energy line. The lung and we're also moving all of the muscles around the ribs as well as the diaphragm. And this time the diaphragm, we're giving it more of a tug on the side, but we're giving it also the space to be able to drop. Okay, and you keep going, and I'm just going to tweak a few hips as I can. I'm just going to pull this back this way. So let your knees soften a little bit. And then just sit back just a little bit more. There. Feel the difference? Okay, and your weight's going to go down above the springs. Okay. Got it. Okay, so do the same thing. So we're going to go this way. Now bend your knees. There you go. That's where you want to be. Now your shoulders over top of your hips. That. Now your shoulders over top of your hips. Really? Yeah. Now you're straight. Really? Yes. Yes. I know. Don't feel like you're going to fall forward? Yeah. Because your head has been compensating like this. And so I went like this. And now that's where you are. So the head has to come back up. Yeah. Okay. We'll do the same here. There. Okay. And bring the head up. All right. Got it. One more. Okay. Let your knees relax. Relax a little bit more. There we go. And your weight's going to go in the bubbling springs. Okay. So for those people online, what I was doing was some hips were locked. So it was here. Shoulders are just slightly back at the hip. So what I did was ask it to go this way, which then makes it feel like you're going to go here. This actually is now going to line up. All right. Okay. There's a connection. Okay. And then your eyes are going to be up and out. Okay, so now from where you are, just describe the back of it. So you open, you'll feel the tailbone start to drop towards the floor and just let it go, which is the hips are going to open. So it's like you'd be able to fold yourself down. Then when you turn your hands, you'll notice the lower back, try to pull the tailbone towards the floor. And then when you get to the back, this is going to give you a drop and pull you back up to straight. Now it's very subtle. So if you don't feel it today, that's okay. Just know it's there. And that when you relax, everything will open and you can start to feel that movement. And then up. And then sink. So the sinking is going to go back. So like your tailbone is going to go back towards the chair. Okay, so I exaggerated. So sink, relax, open. So in a regular Tai Chi class, they would just do the hands. They wouldn't talk about the rest. But I really feel strongly about the whole body movement and finding how that fluidity is. If we're all locked, it's not going to be very helpful when you go out to do a walk. And you're all locked up. Okay, everybody, there's a few people struggling. Where is my hip going to go in space, right? Okay, all right, so let's go to standing Danyu. So I'll just stay in front. Your feet are going to go shoulder width apart. Then the toes turn to the corner. Then the heels go straight. And toes go slightly. Now we're not going to go down very far. I'm only going to do this so that you can figure out how to relax and go back. That's the only part we're going to work on, right? So the hands go up and the hands turn. And now you're going to sit back, like you're going to sit into the chair. And you're going to let your tailbone go back. When you look down, you can see your socks completely. Okay. If you can't see your socks, then you know your knees came forward. So you're going to see the socks, tailbone opens, hands turn up. So you're not going to go very far down. It's not a squat. So if you try to go lower because you have the strength, you likely won't have the flexibility. And it's going to be very different than the squat. I'm just saying that in case you're a gym person that does squats. So this is going to open in the back, so you're pulling and feeling that openness down the back. Very small movements. The hands go between the belly button and your chin. So they're not actually going very far. And this is a standing time. It's just for us to figure out how do we sit back into the chair. Okay, and your eyes are up and out. Okay, in case you're looking at the floor. Right. I'll just know to make the circle in here bigger next time. And that's a good thing. Although we have, I don't know how many we had at the conference, and we were squished in a space not much larger than this. Okay, perfect. All right, so that gives you that idea of how that little bit of movement could be. Okay, so if you go back and check in with your feet again, notice how they feel compared to that first time when you checked in. You may notice the weight's gone across, but you may notice it still has pressure in a couple places. Okay, and if that's the case, then we just want to see if we can still move that out. Okay, all right, so for in here, because you're all looking this way at me and you're all looking this way at me, you want to trade sides and give your neck a rest. You can even trade top to the back to whatever. Just trade so you have a chance to look at me slightly differently. I don't want your neck to be locked in, but also your movement patterns will think that it's supposed to be with your head to the side. Right? So I just want to make sure we've got that. Awesome. Okay, perfect. Okay, so from there, I'll give you the last of the foundations. So you have all the foundations, and this one's just hands turning. So the elbows 90-degree angle, shoulder width away from the body, and you're just turning the hands. You'll have your hand in front of your shoulder. It's easy either to do this or to do this. So then it would be wider. So bringing it in, you can feel your shoulder blades, and then that one lined up. There you go. And we still have that space in the fingers, and that's just letting the chi move through. Okay. So for those people online, I don't get to see your arms necessarily. So if they start to get tired and you feel a burning in your forearm, then you've done enough. So you can just lower your arms. That's totally fine. Just because I can't see you at the moment. Okay. All right. And when the arms do start to get that feeling of burning in the forearm, that just tells you you're not sending the energy to the end of your fingers. So we just have to figure out how to let that happen. So we're just going to drop the hands. You'll feel the chi in your fingers. And we're just going to rotate across. Just opening and closing. So similar to what we just do with opening the bamboo, that last one. But this one we can be a little bit more specific through the shoulder. Okay, and if you connect in with your feet, make sure that your knees are soft. You've got your hips are relaxed, so the tailbone is back towards the chair. Your eyes are up, you're looking out. Okay, you can see how there's so many things that can happen that, you know, whether or not you remember full patterns doesn't make any difference. There's a lot going on. So if your eyes go back to the floor, then you'll, oh, eyes keep going to the floor. Just notice all day to go about things. Do I look at the floor all day long? Because if that's the case, your posture is going to be very forward. So you want to bring yourself back up to that straight. Checking in. Okay, so if we come back up, and just turning. So your ears would be over top of your shoulders, shoulders over top of your hips. Hip is soft. You can bounce there, and now you would easily be able to jump if you'd be in the right position. Okay, and if your answer was no way, then you're not in the right position. And once you find that soft spot, you can feel the bounce right in there. Cool. Okay, so let's let that go. Okay, so those are foundations. They're found all the way through Tai Chi. They're lovely to do. They're better for us once we start learning the set, because when we go back to them, they actually help us to change the relationship between the tendon, and the muscle, and the bone, which is actually where you start letting go of emotion. So whatever life stories have decided to pocket themselves through your body, you have different parts that are going to be tight. So today you were fighting with your hip and maybe your knees, then there's a lot of stuff sitting in there. And so we're going to figure out how to soften that and let it go. And in the set, we can start to open that. And then when we go to just doing those individuals, we can dive in deeper. But that's after we're warmed up. I did them today so you could have more awareness of your body and how it can move and how we want it to move. So hopefully that's helpful. Okay. All right. So from where you are, just have a seat in that chair. And let's do the first 3 moves from Tai Chi. So I'm going to be straight on to the people who are watching online. So I will turn my chair to try to help you with that. And I will also call out which hand, because it does make a difference what direction we're going. All these other exercises didn't matter. Okay, so the first one is commencement. So if you push into your feet, notice your tailbone. It's going to roll towards the floor, and your arms are going to float and then drop. Okay, we have 4 forces of energy. The first one is fingertips towards the floor. Then the hands come up, where they go straight across. Then there's a break in the wrist, and then there's a drop to the floor. Those 4 different forces are how we navigate everything in the body. So commencement, which is what this is really important. You only have to do 1 in the set, but it's a lovely exercise just on its own and great for deep breathing.
You can breathe in as we go up and out as we
Just breathe. Just breathe. However you feel to breathe, just breathe. Yeah. In Tai Chi, we don't worry about where is the breath. It takes care of itself by the movement. In Qigong, if we were trying to put energy into a different system, say we want to focus on the liver, then we might breathe a certain way to get to the liver. But in Tai Chi, we're just looking for flow, and our body will find it. Okay, that's commencement. All right, so now I'm just going to turn my chair slightly. It's going to be the right hand that's going to go out, and the left hand, the right hand goes out, the left hand is going to go to the floor. Okay, so the right hand is going to go out, left hand goes to the floor, and then the left hand is going to turn and go underneath so the forearms are crossed. All right, okay, so I'll just do from commencement. So we have up, let that go, so it doesn't go higher than your shoulders. Then your right hand goes out, and your left hand goes down. Your left hand goes underneath your right. So we call it holding the ball. The ball is actually the center of your arms, not the hands holding the ball. And now your right hand is going to go past your left hand like you're stroking the tail feathers of a bird. What's going to happen is that left hand ends up looking like it came forward while the right hand just fell to the bottom. Okay, so we do that again. We have commencement. Let that go. Then the right hand goes out. Left hand goes to the floor. Left hand goes underneath. And then the right hand strokes the tail feathers of the bird. And now we're going to take the right hand and pull it up underneath to hold the ball.
I never understood that.
Tai Chi 101.
Yeah, exactly. I think I missed that first part.
Isn't it funny?
Yeah.
Yeah. What your memory holds on to, right? Okay. All right, so here's commencement. That's why we're all beginners. Master Moy would say that too. He hated the title of master. So I'm a beginner. Okay, so right hand goes out, left hand to the floor. Hold the ball. Stroke the tail feathers of the bird. Left hand goes out, right hand goes to the floor. Now the right hand turns at the bottom, and it comes up to hold the ball. Okay, so now I'm going to put some subtleties in. So that would all be totally fine. And if you get home and you go, I can remember this. That's great. I'm just going to put some subtleties in so you can start to see how we manipulate the body. So commencement is pretty much what it is. Just nice and gentle. Okay. Now when you go to put your right hand out, the palm goes up and pushes out. And the left hand turns in. Okay. So I know I'm sitting a ways back, so for you to see, it's going to look like that. Okay. And when I put my hand out, the elbow's not going to lock, it's going to stay bent. I'm not going to end up there. Okay. That's that piece. Okay. From there, what happens with the left hand is if you think of unwinding a knob, so turning the knob with your left hand, turn it all the way around until the palm faces up, and then bring it underneath. Okay, so that's an unwinding. So you can see what happens all the way through your shoulder as your hand comes underneath. And then as you pull that forearm across, you can notice how you're opening in your in the shoulder blades. Okay, so you have that. Okay, and now when you go to stroke the feathers, it just kind of lets go and the body comes back straight. Okay, and now at the bottom, where your hand gets to the bottom, turn your fingertips in towards the chair. And now you notice that foundation that we did when we were turning at the bottom, there it is. And now you're going to turn the knob to the right, so clockwise, and then pull your hand up underneath. Okay, very subtle movements. Okay, so we have commencement. And let that go. The right hand, the palm is up and out. The left hand rotates in from the shoulder. Then you turn the hand like you're turning the knob counterclockwise and bring your arm across to hold the ball. Stroke the tail feathers, so you end up going back to straight. And the right hand is going to turn at the bottom, your shoulders turn in, and then you're going to turn it around and bring it up. Right. Okay, on the top again. And again, you get home, you go, I don't know what she said. Go back to commencement. Right hand goes out. Hold the ball. Left hand goes out. Hold the ball. And that will take it back to its basic. Don't worry about if you can get turns, whatever in there. Okay, that becomes too much. Again, so we have commencement. This is all recorded. So at home, I'll be sending the recording so you'll be able to go in and remind yourself. So right hand goes forward. Hold the ball. Right the tail feathers. Hold the ball. Right. Okay. And very subtly, you did this. So if you have your posture straight up and down, you kept that head, so that full alignment. As you were doing this, you were massaging all the way through the spine. From a lymph perspective, you have lymph nodes all the way down the inside of the spine. That tiny little turn is pushing on them and pumping fluid through the body. And you're doing that all while you're moving your hands. Okay, so you go back to here. That's why it doesn't matter if you get it right, whatever. Right hand is going to come out. Hold the ball. Left hand is going to come out. Hold the ball. Yep, that's okay. That's okay. I'm going to turn my.
No, that was not the showers.
No, I'm going to change it anyway. So just in case if somebody's watching on the recording and going, I still don't get it. If I turn the angle, sometimes that makes a difference. Okay, so commencement. Go. Right hand. Hold the ball. The left hand goes underneath. Left hand is out. Hold the ball. You got it. You got it. Now, without me saying anything, because that's really the key. Okay, there you go. Sweet. Nice and gentle. You make a mistake, doesn't matter. And if you get going and you do something differently, and you come back next week and you go, that is not what I practiced. It doesn't matter. You moved. The body moved. You changed the hand positions. All kinds of things were happening, and that's okay. And eventually the pattern will come in. But again, it's not about the pattern. It's about what your body is learning and how you're changing it. That's the important part. So you go home and remember 2 things. That's all you needed. The most important 2 will be what popped to your mind. The rest is not important. You heard the 2 most important things. Perfect. Forget the rest. Okay, because it's a lot. It's an hour's worth of material, right? You're going to sit down for 5 minutes. Okay, it's 2 things I can remember. All right, so let's go back through what we did. So we had lifting up, finding straight. So through the week, all the places that you can put in straight spine. And then if you notice, there's one chair in your house where you really, aside from the living room watching TV, because I know you want to relax there, but if you notice you really lean back in that chair and you're sitting on that sit bone, then see if you can find a chair that allows you to be here. and then maybe swap the chairs out. Or choose to sit in that chair several times through the day to find that straight. And then if you come for breakfast, toast and tea tomorrow, there's my plug again. You're coming for toast and tea. When you sit down at the chair, sit up straight. And see if you can do that the whole time you're talking to your buddies. And that's going to give you the energy that you search for in the black tea and the coffee. That's where the energy is sitting, is right there. Okay, so then we did Danu, going forward and back. And we did that by pushing into the feet, palm up, turn the palm over, and float back. So that was the seated Danu. That is on the Tai Chi Wellness playlist on my YouTube channel. So you can look that one up if you need to. Plus it'll be on the video. Then you have hands only. So we did that. We talked about breathing, and we talked about the position of the hands. We did play with the hands just so you could get a feel for how much manipulation you have by where you place things. Okay, that's not an exercise, but we did that. We did hands turning up, and we did hands turning down. We did spine rotation, using the belly to turn you around. And if the hands drive you crazy because you're not sure which hand wants to go where, then you're holding on to a balloon and you're just turning from knee to knee. You don't have to go very far, you just need to inspire the spine. That's all. Okay? We did this one standing, but we did hand circling. This one doesn't have a title. We just call them foundations. And what else did we do? Oh, pardon bamboo. Thank you. All the way out. And then turn. And then bring that back. We do the standing Danu. So we set up our feet to go out and out. And then we came up and very gently, this was about learning about how to sit, how to open the knees and keep the knees behind the toes. So not going very far, and then putting the weight into the bowing springs. So very gentle on that one. Okay, so we're not going very far.
Should our knees feel like they're going out when we bend?
They should line up with your second toe. So when you go out and you open the hip, they line up with the second toe. Does that help? Okay, awesome. Okay, so now if you want to go, take a walk around and notice what it feels like to stand on your feet and what your walk feels like. Belinda's got arms swinging, love it. Okay. Eyes are up, you're looking out. Okay, and your arms are just going to swing right from the shoulder. The hinge is going to be there. And you may notice in your foot that it's actually pushing off the floor to move you forward. And if that's the case, you found power in your foot, which is awesome. Right on. Okay, if you want to come back for just a moment, I'll just check in with everyone online just to see if there's any questions from them, and then I'll do questions in here. So, okay. How is everyone there? Thumbs are up. I love it. I'm gonna remove the spotlight so I can see.
It's this one that I'm not so, this one.
Hands
I
turning?
get confused at the last one you did.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, the last one.
Okay, I'm going to turn a little bit. So I had commencement. Then right hand goes out. Left hand goes underneath. Stroke the bird so the left hand ends up out. And then bring the right hand underneath. You got it.
Is the hand kind of at the elbow or in the middle
The
of the
forearms are
forearm?
going to cross. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Yep. I know that's a little bit fun in there. Okay. Anybody else? No? Do you feel relaxed and ready for a great Monday? Awesome. Awesome. So the other piece that happens is all the busyness disappears. You can't do Tai Chi and keep busyness. It's not possible. So this is a great way that if the monkey mind is telling you a lot of things, it'll just disappear. So yeah, I know. The monkey mind's busy all the time.
Would this energize you, or would you do it before you go to bed?
You can do it before you go to bed, which is going to help open all the systems into flow so you'll sleep better. And if you have restless leg challenges or pain that runs down the legs, this will help to eliminate that. And if you wake up in the middle of the night, because you do have a pain running down the leg or in the hip or something, go over the side of the bed and just throw a few danyus in and just lie back down again. And likely you'll go back to sleep. Yeah. So a lot of people will get up, they'll walk around, but they won't actually open the block. But the danyu will help open the block. Yeah. And it's fine to do morning and night. So you might want to do it like an hour before bed rather than right before bed. But then that just gives you the chance to just do that calming routine and then off to bed afterwards. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else here? Nope. Awesome. So I will send a message out with the recording so you have it. And if you have any questions, just send it during the week and we'll be back here next week. Awesome. Thank you online.
Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Have a wonderful day.
Thanks,
You too.
Michelle.
Thank you too.
Good to see you.